All right, let's talk about something kind of weird. Why do we love watching the world burn? Seriously, from the books we all had to read in school to the biggest blockbuster movies, we seem to be completely obsessed with these grim, miserable futures. So, what's that all about?
Yeah, it's a great question, isn't it? Why are we just glued to these stories about suffering and total control? You might think it's just some dark curiosity, but it's way, way deeper than that. And the secret? It has everything to do with the world we're actually living in right now.
The best way to think about it is something people call the Funhouse mirror effect. See, these stories, they aren't really about some crazy, far-off future. Nope, they're actually holding up a mirror to our world. They take things from our society, our fears, our tech, our politics, and they stretch them and distort them, kind of like a funhouse mirror does, to show us some pretty uncomfortable truths about ourselves.
So, to really get what that mirror is showing us, we gotta be clear on what a dystopia actually is. The word literally means bad place. But here's the twist. It's not usually a world that's just a total mess. A lot of the time it looks perfect on the surface. But underneath all that perfection is a system that's been built on purpose, whether by a corporation or a government, to completely crush what it means to be human.
And that brings up a really key difference. You've got your post-apocalyptic stories, right? That's all about survival after everything has collapsed. It's basically humanity versus chaos. But a dystopia, that's totally different. That's about one person trying to fight back against the system that is running perfectly. The scary part isn't the chaos. The scary part is the order, the terrifying, soul-crushing efficiency of it all.
Okay, so let's see this funhouse mirror in action. We're going to look at three absolute giants of the genre. Each one of these books is like a time capsule. It perfectly captures the specific fears and anxieties of the time it was written.
First up, we've got Ray Bradbury's classic from 1953, Fahrenheit 451. Now, everyone thinks this is a book about the government burning books, right? Simple censorship. But the real warning in this story is actually way creepier. And the scary part is, it didn't start with the government at all.
And this is the real gut punch of the book. The government didn't have to pry the books from anyone's cold, dead hands. The people just gave them up, willingly. They picked the easy, mindless entertainment of their giant TV walls over the messy, complicated, sometimes difficult world you find in books. They basically censored themselves, and in doing so, they rolled out the red carpet for oppression to just walk right in.
And man, this was a direct mirror of the 1950s. You can feel the Cold War paranoia dripping off the pages. You can see the fear of McCarthyism's political witch hunts. And of course, there's that brand new, shiny, all-powerful technology that was suddenly in every single home, the DV.
Okay, let's jump forward 40 years to 1993 and The Giver. The funhouse mirror has shifted. The fear isn't about a government smashing down the door anymore. No, the fear is about a society that willingly hands over control. And why? To chase a more subtle, maybe even more terrifying goal, the dream of getting rid of all pain, all suffering forever.
This, to me, is the most bone-chilling part of the whole book. The society in The Giver wasn't built by evil villains. It was built with good intentions, with compassion. They just wanted to protect everyone from getting hurt. But in their quest to get rid of pain, they accidentally threw out everything else. Joy, love, color, choice, all the stuff that actually makes life worth living.
The Giver feels so modern because it's asking questions we are wrestling with right now. Like, how much freedom are you willing to give up to feel totally safe? Is creating a safe space worth it if it means you have to ignore uncomfortable truths or whitewash the messy parts of history? And this journey brings us right into the 21st century with the Hunger Games. So think about it. Fahrenheit 451 was about the fear of controlling our minds. The Giver was about controlling our emotions. And the Hunger Games? Well, it's all about the fear of controlling our attention. It's a mirror reflecting our world of reality TV, nonstop violent media, and that massive, massive gap between the haves and the have-nots.
And get this, the author Suzanne Collins said the idea came to her when she was just flipping channels. On one channel, she was watching real news coverage of a war. She flipped, and on the next was some competitive reality TV show. And she just kept flipping back and forth until the line between the two, real suffering and fake entertainment, started to get really, really blurry. That's the core of the book, a critique of a culture that's gotten way too good at turning human pain into a TV show.
So the Hunger Games isn't just some crazy fantasy story. It plugged directly into the anxieties of the moment. Remember the 2008 financial crash? The massive anger over wealth inequality? That's in there. And so is our media-saturated world, where literally anything, even something as horrific as kids fighting to the death, can be packaged up and sold as prime-time entertainment.
So when you lay them all out next to each other, you can see this incredible pattern, right? It's like a timeline of our fears. We go from being afraid of losing our knowledge in Fahrenheit 451 to being afraid of losing our feelings in The Giver, and finally, being afraid of losing our basic humanity to entertainment and inequality in The Hunger Games.
Which brings up another kind of weird question. Why on earth do we make kids read these depressing, scary books in school? I mean, it seems like the last thing you'd want to give a teenager. But there's a really good reason. These books are basically a boot camp for being a thinking person in the world.
Yeah, think of it like a mental gym. First, in this safe, fictional world, you learn how to spot power and control. You see how propaganda works from the inside out. Next, you get to wrestle with huge ethical questions like freedom versus safety, but in a low-stakes environment. And maybe the most important part? You see that one person, one teenager, can actually stand up and make a difference. It shows you that your choices matter. And that's how you go from just reading a book to thinking like an engaged citizen. And there's another reason these books hit so hard, especially when you're young. The heroes are almost always teenagers, right? They feel like outsiders, they look at the world the adults made and think, this is all messed up. And their whole story is about fighting to figure out who they are. I mean, that's basically the definition of being a teenager. It validates that feeling that something isn't right. And it tells you, hey, your voice matters. You can fight for a different future.
So, let's bring it all home. The real power of these stories isn't just that they're dark. It's about what that darkness makes us see. Not in some fictional world, but in ourselves. And in our own society, right here, right now.
And if you remember one thing, make it this. These stories are not predictions. They're not telling us what's definitely going to happen. They are warnings. That Funhouse mirror is just reflecting our own world back at us and basically screaming, hey, look, is this really where you want to be heading?
So that really puts the question back on all of us. The next time you watch one of these movies or read a new dystopian book, ask yourself, what's the mirror showing me now? What parts of my world, my tech, my culture are being twisted and shown back to me? Because in the end, that's the whole point. These stories aren't supposed to make us give up and say, well, the future's going to be terrible. Just the opposite. They're meant to wake us up, to make us think about what the future could be, and to realize that the choices we make today are the ones that will actually build it.